Trent Alexander-Arnold to make Liverpool return with Real Madrid in Champions League. Liverpool and Anfield will welcome back Trent Alexander-Arnold in the Champions League group stage. The England international bid farewell to his boyhood club in the summer to join Real Madrid after his Liverpool contract expired. Real even paid a transfer fee to Liverpool of around $11.7 million in order for Alexander-Arnold to play in this summer's Club World Cup. He was seen in tears as Liverpool celebrated winning the Premier League at the end of last season in what was his final appearance in a red shirt at Anfield. But he will be soon back on Merseyside after the draw for the group stage was made on Thursday. Liverpool will also welcome Atletico Madrid to Anfield, with other home games against Qarabag and PSV Eindhoven. A trip to the San Siro awaits to take on last season's beaten finalists Inter Milan, as well as away matches with Eintracht Frankfurt, Marseille, and Galatasaray. Alexander-Arnold started Real's first game of the season but only appeared as a substitute last time out against Real Oviedo, with Xabi Alonso instead preferring Dani Carvajal. Speaking after that game, Alonso said, "I haven't made a decision for the next month. I'm going to see how we recover and to make sure that people feel important and ready to start, come off the bench or be able to be in the next game. We have 20-odd players in the squad and I'm going to try to get the best out of all of them. Sometimes you can have a few minutes and be important. Today Vini was important. My intention is that everyone contributes to the team. That's going to be the norm." Alexander-Arnold was initially booed by Liverpool supporters after he revealed his desire to leave the club. The attitude did appear to change somewhat in the final weeks of the season, but it will be interesting to see the reaction he will receive in a white shirt. In an emotional post on social media, he said, "This is easily the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. This club has been my whole life, my whole world for 20 years. From the academy right through until now. The support and love I have felt from everyone inside and outside of the club will stay with me forever. I will forever be in debt to you all. But I have never known anything else, and this decision is about experiencing a new challenge, taking myself out of my comfort zone and pushing myself both professionally and personally. I've given my all every single day I've been at this club, and I hope you feel like I've given back to you during my time here. From the bottom of my heart, I thank everybody, my coaches, my managers, my teammates, the staff, and our incredible supporters for the last 20 years. I've been blessed enough to live out my dreams here, and I will never, ever take for granted the special moments I've been fortunate enough to have lived through with you all. My love for this club will never die." Trent Alexander-Arnold set for Anfield return as Real Madrid draw Liverpool in Champions League. Trent Alexander-Arnold faces the tantalizing prospect of a first return to Anfield since his frosty exit after Real Madrid drew Liverpool in the league phase of the Champions League. Alexander-Arnold, 26, departed his boyhood club after 20 years in June, a decision that was met with hostility from Reds fans. After announcing his intention to leave at the end of his contract, he was booed his own supporters in his next appearance at Anfield, although received a warmer reception on the final day of the season as Liverpool lifted the Premier League. He moved to Real Madrid for a fee of £10 million, with Los Blancos opting to splash the extra cash to secure his services in time for the Club World Cup. Alexander-Arnold surprised fans by speaking near-fluent Spanish in his unveiling, revealing that he had been learning the language for months. However, the Englishman has endured a difficult start to life in the Spanish capital and has already dropped out of the starting lineup in place of veteran Dani Carvajal, who recently returned from a long-term injury, having won 2 Premier League titles and a Champions League with Liverpool during a glittering spell. Alexander-Arnold will now square off against the club he grew up supporting. Arne Slot's side will also play host to Atletico Madrid and Inter Milan in the league phase, with long-distance trips to Turkish giants Galatasaray and Azerbaijan's Qarabag in the docket. They have also been drawn to face Marseille, Frankfurt, and PSV, the latter of whom were the only side to beat Liverpool in last season's league phase. Champions League draw. Alexander-Arnold primed for swift Liverpool reunion. Trent Alexander-Arnold will make a swift return to Anfield after Liverpool were drawn to host Real Madrid in this season's Champions League. The right back will face his old teammates months after his controversial move to the Bernabeu, which drew vocal disapproval from sections of the Liverpool support. It was one of several high-profile reunions thrown up in a league phase draw that also pits Kevin De Bruyne, now with Napoli, against Manchester City. The Napoli manager, Antonio Conte, will also meet his former club Chelsea. Arsenal will prime themselves for the latest appearance of Harry Kane, a longtime nemesis while at Spurs, in Bayern Munich colours at the Emirates. The now customary sprawling draw, which paired each of the 36 contenders with 8 opponents, offered England's 6 representatives a mixed bag. Liverpool will also host Real's city neighbours, Atletico, as well as softer-looking tasks against PSV Eindhoven and the Azeri champions, Karabag. They will travel to Inter, Eintracht Frankfurt, Marseille and Galatasaray. Manchester City will renew acquaintances once again with Real Madrid, who they have faced 10 times in the past 5.5 years. Madrid most recently defeated them 6-3 on aggregate in the knockout playoff round in February and will host this season's tie at the Bernabeu. City will also visit newcomers Bodo/Glimt, Villarreal and Monaco. Pep Guardiola's side will host Borussia Dortmund, Bayer Leverkusen and Galatasaray along with Napoli. Arsenal will hope to avenge their quarter-final defeat against Kane and Bayern of 2023-24. Atletico, Olympiacos and the Kazakh debutants Kairat Almaty will also visit North London. Last season's Premier League runners-up will travel to Inter, Club Brugge, Slavia Prague and Athletic Bilbao. Chelsea face a relatively tough-looking path through the league phase. They will meet Barcelona, Benfica, Ajax and the Cypriot side Paphos at Stamford Bridge, playing away ties against Bayern, Atlanta, Napoli and Karabag. The theme of reunions persists for Tottenham, who will travel to Bodo/Glimt after defeating the Norwegians in the Europa League semi-finals in May. Spurs also face the reigning champions, Paris Saint-Germain, who edged them out on penalties in the Super Cup a fortnight ago, at the Parc des Princes. Their assignments on the road include Frankfurt, another opponent from 2024-25, and Monaco. Thomas Frank's team hosts Dortmund, Villarreal, Slavia Prague and Copenhagen. There will be few easy games for Newcastle, particularly if they find themselves shorn of Alexander Isak before the competition begins. St. James Park will play host to Barcelona, Benfica, PSV and Athletic Bilbao. Their fans will await trips to PSG, Bayer Leverkusen, Marseille and Union Saint-Gilloise. Other noteworthy clashes include a rerun of the 2021 final between PSG and Bayern, along with an epic trip to the Kazakh capital for Real Madrid when they face Kairat Almaty. The first set of games will take place between the 16th and the 18th of September. 5 subsequent rounds are scheduled before mid-December, with 2 more lined up for January. The order of the fixtures, along with dates and kickoff times, will be released on Saturday. Alexander Isak to Liverpool dominoes could fall after $81 million offer lodged. Brentford is reportedly preparing a bumper offer to sign Maximilian Bayer from Borussia Dortmund, which could pave the way for Yoane Wissa to complete a move to Newcastle. Newcastle has been working on a deal to sign Wissa for several weeks, and the player is keen on the move, having made himself unavailable for selection for the Bees. Wissa did not play in any of Brentford's pre-season games and has not figured in any of the West London club's 3 games at the start of the campaign. Newcastle is keen to sign a replacement for Callum Wilson, who left the Magpies at the end of last season, while the arrival of a striker could soften the Magpies' stance on the sale of Alexander Isak. However, Wissa is firmly viewed as a replacement for Wilson by Newcastle, so it is highly likely that the North East club would also need to sign a second new striker before considering allowing Isak to leave. Isak still wants to leave Newcastle to join Liverpool before the transfer window closes. But the deadline is on Monday, and a lot of things will need to happen over the next few days for that transfer to occur. Newcastle is interested in signing Jørgen Strand Larsen from Wolves, and is reportedly expected to make a third offer for the 25-year-old after seeing 2 bids rejected by the Molina club, the second of which was worth $74 million. If Newcastle were to get deals for Strand Larsen and Wissa over the line in the coming days, that could well open the door for Isak to leave. Liverpool saw a bid of just under $150 million for Isak rejected earlier in the summer. It has been suggested all summer that Newcastle values Isak at closer to $200 million. But it is likely that the amount of money required to convince the Magpies to sell will lie somewhere between those two figures. Liverpool is reportedly willing to hand Isak a contract worth around $400,000 a week, which is significantly more lucrative than the improved $270,000 a week deal that Newcastle was planning to offer Isak. If Isak does stay at Newcastle beyond the closure of the window, it will be interesting to see whether he is reintegrated, as he will surely want to be playing regularly throughout the season ahead of next summer's World Cup. Liverpool told exactly what it must do if Alexander Isak transfer does not happen. Former Liverpool defender Jason McAteer believes that the Reds should bide its time in the transfer market should the club fail to sign Alexander Isak this summer. Isak has been absent from Newcastle's opening 2 Premier League fixtures, missing both the trip to Aston Villa and the home clash with Liverpool at St. James Park. He is also unlikely to feature against Leeds United on Saturday, with the transfer deadline fast approaching on Monday. But with Newcastle refusing to move on its current stance, McAteer says that the club should avoid panic buying another striker and opt to utilize other options within the squad. There isn't an obvious candidate to go out and buy, but for Arne Slot there will be lots of options already at this disposal, said McAteer in an interview with 10Bet. Ngumaha has shown proof of his talent in pre-season, and he did so again against Newcastle. For someone so young, he has an exceptional temperament. He is someone who can already come in and impact the game. But you could also use Gakpo through the middle, play him as a false 9. Salah has been able to play through the middle, and there's Ekitike too. Importantly, he's young and he's stayed fit through his career, and it would be huge if he's durable and Liverpool can count on him for most games. There should be lots of options for the season ahead. Last season, Curtis Jones and Dominic Szoboszlai played as false 9s, breaking from midfield, and it worked often enough. You'll get away with it at times, but Chiesa is there to come off the bench too. There are options there for Slot this season, and he's already changed his tactics for this season. We've gone 4-2-3-1 now, and he obviously prefers that way with a recognized striker up top, added the 54-year-old. But when we can't, we know we can revert to 4-3-3, and you could use Florian Wirtz or Gakpo down the middle. I don't think it's worth gambling in the market at this stage, spending £50 to £60 million for someone who isn't quite right, or might be relegated to the bench if Isak eventually comes in January. There are lots of variables at the moment, and holding fire might be sensible for now. Newcastle is pursuing a move for Wolves forward Jørgen Strand Larsen and has also identified Brentford's Jon Wissa as a target. Securing both deals could potentially soften its stance on Isak, though time is running out. Alexander Isak transfer saga labeled embarrassing, as Newcastle told to sell shambles. Former Newcastle United star Chris Waddle says the Magpies should sell Alexander Isak this week because the transfer saga has been handled like a pub team. Isak has missed Newcastle's first 2 matches of the season in a bid to force through an exit. He sat out the trip to Aston Villa and then the visit of Liverpool, and is set to be absent for the Magpies' trip to Leeds United on Saturday. And with the transfer deadline looming on Monday, there needs to be more developments soon if it is to go through. If it doesn't, there will be a long way back for Isak to reintegrate himself into Eddie Howe's plans. If I were Newcastle, I would sell him this week, Waddle said. I know a lot of fans are urging the club to keep him to punish him, but we're not talking about a player that is worth a couple of £1 million. Isak's transfer would be a 9-figure sum, an incredible amount of money. There's too much money involved for him to sit in the reserves. If he does leave and Liverpool is his destination, I'd take the £100 million plus add-ons, and that would be the end of the chapter. Newcastle has been chasing both Jørgen Strand Larsen from Wolves and Jon Wissa of Brentford after missing out on a host of attacking options including Hugo Ekitike and João Pedro. While its latest bid for Strand Larsen, which was worth around $74 million, £55 million, was turned down, it could return with another offer. And if he and Wissa could get done, that might see the stance on Isak softened. The whole situation has been a shambles. Waddle, speaking to a Sportsbet, said, "It's been handled like a pub team. It's embarrassing. Whether it's Isak himself or his agent, they've gone about it in completely the wrong way." On Monday, Ahead of Liverpool playing Newcastle at St. James Park, Isak met with the Magpies owners in the northeast. However, it is thought that his stance on wanting to leave remains the same. I'm not aware of that, but I've not been party to talks on this for a long time now, Eddie Howe explained in his post-match press conference at St. James Park. So, I've been preparing the team, giving all my energy to the players that want to play for Newcastle. I think that's where my energy is best. I'm not party to the talks that have been happening, so I've got no idea where that stands.